Welcome back to Not Man Enough Podcast, and we have our guest. We just lost audio. What? Yeah. It's all good.
I was trying to multitask and it did not work.
Well, you know, hey, it's your first time behind the board, man. Behind the board. Is it your first time to do any of it?
Yeah, it's my first time. I think I've ran the board before, but
okay,
it's my first time doing
great.
Multitasking over here.
Already doing great. Already. So we have our first guest today.
Video wise.
Yeah, we've had guests, obviously. It's just, and he's been on before. I think you've been on twice?
Twice, yeah.
Twice. Yep. So we are.
This is Brandon.
I can wave now.
It is. Yeah. He was waving when we were just audio and it was just awkward. We're like, what are you looking at?
I feel
like, what are you doing?
I feel seen.
I feel seen. You're seen. Oh, man. So we are down. Trent was not able to make it. And so we were like, hey, let's have a guest. And so Matt's behind the board, and we've got Sam, we've got Brandon, and we've got me.
Hey.
Sorry.
Oh.
I know I said I want a lot of camera switches.
Well, I thought Sam started to say something, or Brandon started to say something. I was like, oh, he's going to say something. And then he just stopped.
Just make a sound.
Yeah. Yeah.
Trent isn't joking either. These buttons, you gotta
you gotta
be intentional.
You gotta punch them.
Well, you know what? Until you start switching cameras enough, they're never gonna break in.
Yeah.
Anyway, it's all good, man. We'll get this. We'll get this.
Yeah.
It's been a learning curve for sure.
Yeah.
Anyway, let's get started. We're going to start with a little bit of news, things that we like, things that we don't like, just a few things. But I know Matt has something that he really likes. And we were talking about before, and we both wrote it down. But I was like, I'll give it to you because you put a lot more effort into it than me.
Yeah, so just recent news.
Yeah.
So Pete Hegseth, in celebration of Pride Month, has ordered the Navy to rename a ship, which was named after a gay lieutenant, Harvey Milk,
we should never name anything after Milk anyway.
Yeah.
Harvey Milk.
Yeah, who was discharged from the military in the 1950s for being gay, actually. So that's why they.
Yeah.
So
for the best.
Which, I mean, great way to start Pride Month is we're gonna rename this, but Hegseth has found it difficult to find a new ship a new ship name, as it is challenging to find a non-gay sailor.
That's really good. Yeah, I was about to say it's so fitting that it's the Navy.
That's what I forgot what I was listening to, and they were like, yeah, it's not helping the Navy at all. It was another podcast that are talking about. I was like, man, you're just making it worse. I love it. I love the fact that he waited till Pride Month to just like, we're going to take the gay guy's name off the show.
Imagine the sailors that are like, dang it. I'm stationed on Harvey Milk.
I know. Like, it had to be like deflating, right? Yeah. Had to be.
Harvey Milk.
It's
Harvey,
like,
yeah. Why Harvey, though? Yeah.
Name. It is. No, actually, the guy was a pedophile, too, so there's that. Yeah, so, I mean, he should have never been on a ship anyway. I mean,
maybe he should be on a ship. In the middle of the ocean.
Yeah. By himself.
Well, the ship was named under, I think, Obama.
It was.
So it wasn't even like during that. Obviously, it wasn't during that time period because they kicked him out of the military for being gay.
Yeah. It's interesting that they used to do that.
He was persecuted.
He was persecuted.
That's their narrative.
People didn't mind saying, that dude's not sleeping in the same barracks with me. It's like, man. Anyway, so another thing that I kind of don't like, actually, is AI has been tested. And, like, they were doing all these, like, tests and, like, running. My opinion on AI is I realize it's here. I realize it's helpful. I realize it's not going anywhere, but I kind of hate it at the same time. and they were like doing all these test runs on it to see what, like, if they could if it would try to subvert human commands and stuff, and it is. Like, I think, was it Google that did the test? I think it was Google this time.
I haven't seen who did it. I read the article, but I didn't see who did it.
Yeah, so they're basically trying to see if it will what links it'll go to try and not be shut down and stuff like that. And it's recoding itself. It's sending messages to itself in the future to let it know, and it even got to the point to where it was blackmailing the person trying to turn it off.
Yeah, dude, that's wild.
Which is just humorous in a way and terrifying. I don't know. Oh man, I don't know. Brandon, what do you think about AI? I know that you have
it's amazing. It's amazing.
It is amazing.
No, I think it's very helpful. It is funny though that you mentioned that, because today was the first time where I used AI, and I think it was like the first time where it was like dead wrong on something, like, and I was asking it like a question of like how many words in the Greek are in these verses, just how many words are in like verse 1 through 5.
Wow.
Like, that should be easy, I feel like. And then it came out with like 400 or something like that. And then like I went back and counted it up just because it seemed kind of off. And then like it was totally off. It was like 200 or 200 something. And then I told it, I said it was like, isn't it supposed to be this? And then it was like, oh yes, you're right. Thank you for the correction. sorry, we did wrong on this.
So
one.
basically, see, and that's what's terrifying about it. Because here's the thing: is AI just stored that response, and now that's what it might think is true. And what if you were wrong? I'm not saying that you were.
Right.
But what if you were wrong and now it's like, oh, no, that is right. Because maybe it got the original number from someone else because it's pulling from that.
Right,
and it's like,
yeah.
And so it's like, oh, no, you're right. And it's like, well, I don't know, man.
Well, you know what really concerns me? Brandon, are you using AI to get through all the seminary?
Man, I guess I shouldn't have outed myself. Don't show this to the...
Welcome to confession.
Yeah, the question that he's asking is like, hey, Grok, what does it look like for a 12-page essay?
Go ahead and write me out a 12-page essay for for demonology.
It'd be good at that because I'm pretty sure it's demon possessed.
Yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. Well, maybe. I don't know. It does some creepy stuff. Yeah, so another thing that I would like and is pretty cool is the Switch 2 came out. But by the time...
Switch... No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah. So, like...
Camera 2.
Yeah.
Like, what? Okay.
But by the time that we post this is going to be a few days later. So we're recording this on Thursday, and it's the 5th. And so it's the release day of the new Switch. The Switch 2 came out today. And
But
it's awesome. It is totally awesome.
But that's not one, is it?
Well, I'm getting to it.
Okay.
This is I'm getting to that.
Sorry.
See, the Switch 2
Hand him the cup.
has Oh, Brandon doesn't know about the cup. Let me just warn you, Brandon.
Take a shot?
If you do that again,
That would not be a punishment, though. So.
if you do that again, Brandon, you have to drink from this for the rest of the time. This is our punishment.
What does it say though? Okay.
It says "woke up gay again." Really big. You can actually see it when you're sitting in that seat over there. Anyhow, so one of the really cool things about the new Switch is like it's got like magnetic controllers instead, so it just snaps into
You
the
said
side.
that last time. You're really
Yeah,
obsessed.
no, but it's pretty cool because I pre-ordered one.
Here's a demonstration.
I pre-ordered one, and I pre-ordered it on April 28th, and today was the release date. And check it out.
Yo, I knew he was...
Like
You knew he was
knew
a
it.
fraud.
thanks, Target. So I put in my order
They did you dirty.
on April 28th, and I got one of the pre-orders. A pre-order, Target. Do you know what that means? When you pre-order stuff, it's so that you can get it
Oh, no.
first day. So I'm sitting there and like I get the pre-order and it says that it's supposed to come out on the 5th. It might take till the 6th is what it said. Okay, maybe the 6th. And then it had like all the way to the 11th. But I was like, okay, that's an exaggeration. They're just giving themselves time, whatever, because they have all these things. They have them all in the warehouse. Well, I get an email today, and it's like, I don't have to have it today. I'm not that kind of geek, but it would have been nice to open it up on the podcast and show it and be like, hey, I'm going to do a review of this. I don't have it. But anyway, I got an email today, the day that it's supposed to release. And the email I got is, I kid you not, this is what it read. From Target. Oh boy, your shipment is ready to ship. Your order is ready to ship. It's in Texas.
What?
It's in Texas, and the label has only been created. And I'm like, hold on. So everybody went to the store last night and got theirs at 12 a.m. I pre-ordered mine, and mine's coming in still saying the 11th. It's still saying the 11th.
That's why you go with Best Buy.
Target. Let me tell you something.
That mug's from Target for sure.
Do you? For sure. Actually, I got this at a candy store.
Makes sense.
Kind of goes. What's interesting is I don't get it. Like, so your whole thing for pre-orders is to get it day of. Like, that's the whole benefit. And yet it says the 11th, and other people have theirs. Target. Other people have theirs. They have it in hand. They're able to review it. They're able to unbox it. They're able to do all those things. What am I stuck with? Non-magnetic.
Yeah.
I don't know why I'm obsessed with that. It doesn't really matter. It's a really big deal.
I
It's
just
a big
I
deal.
just can't get over the fact of when you were talking about the magnetic, controller, how you said in the whoever's listening can go back and listen to this. When you said pretty cool, it sounded like the nerdiest thing I've ever heard.
I don't doubt it. I'm kind of nerdy. But anyway, the thing is,
Look at what's
like,
behind.
Can we zoom in?
Yeah. Hey, I do have.
commentaries.
Wrong side. I do have Richard Sibb's collection. Yeah. So I had to get something kind of adult.
Offset the toys.
But honestly, my favorite part is not Richard Sibb's. It's this Optimus Prime.
Oh,
over.
that's
Yeah.
awesome.
So
It's a
every
big-
kind of nerdy.
It's a big sword.
Yeah. Oh, Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyway,
Buster
we're off
Sword.
subject. I'm still on about Target. Target, the 11th. So I did a little bit of research, and I'm like, the 11th. I'm like, are they delivering this thing by horseback? Like, what is going on? It's been in America forever. It's in stores. It's everywhere.
So you could go to Target right now and just grab it.
Possibly. I'm sure they ran out. But you could have showed up last night and got it.
Yeah.
Best Buy did a 12 a.m. release of it to where you could have went and waited in line and got it last night. And yet, mine's in Texas. And so I was like, so the 11th, why is it going to take so long? I looked up how long it would take to walk to Texas to get it myself. Walk. Almost in the time it's going to take to get to me. What in the world, dude? Like, I even looked up bike. Bike is over just one day. If you ride a bike. So I'm gonna peg a horse somewhere. Like, you could probably make it in 3 days.
No, I'd say
Yeah,
I'd say that this situation rivals another awful day that happened on the 11th. It's that bad.
Wow.
I'm just letting
That took way too long for y'all.
No, I got it immediately.
What's the timestamp on that joke?
About 15 minutes in.
Okay.
So anyway, let me.
Goodness gracious, that flopped really bad. That crumbled to the ground.
I got it, but I was focused on the switcher, so I was waiting for Jonathan to get
Well,
it. So.
here's the thing. Target. I'm still on about Target. Do not distract me.
No, let me explain.
I will choke you.
Here's the point: is that compared to other days that happened on the 11th, this isn't that bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's really not. It's not up to that level.
Should I explain more?
No. The Target thing. I'm going to get a little bit Target. Your whole emblem, your whole thing is that you have a target with a bullseye.
Yeah.
Like, that's your thing. You're missing the whole target right now.
Yeah, listen up. We know you're watching.
We know you're watching. And here's what I want to say.
Transgression.
I'm going to bring it into theological terms now. Missing the mark in Christianity is sin. It's sin.
Yes.
It is sin.
Repent. Send me my Switch too. Anyway,
Target, repent and believe.
dude, how in the world
Repent and
is
believe.
it? It is. I can order something from Amazon. It'll be here in the next hour.
Yeah.
I ordered this on April 28th, and it's not here.
You know
anyway.
what would make this better? The only thing that can resolve this is more AI.
Yeah, it might be AI that has it stuck in Texas right now, for all I know. Anyway, that's all I got on that. On other news, no, there is no other news. We're moving on to our main topic, which is weird. It's a really weird one. I'll be honest with you. It's I don't know. Y'all are kind of into this stuff a lot more than me.
Oh, yeah.
That didn't sound right. But Haunted Cosmos.
We're talking about Pride Month.
Pride Month. Haunted Cosmos.
Not me.
That's he's like, nah, I mean, like, I'm not getting kicked out of seminary, man.
Just for AI, though. Just for using AI.
Yeah, but anyway, so Haunted Cosmos, if you never checked them out, we've talked about them several times on this podcast. And they kind of talk about, like, the odd things within mythology and all that. Correct me if I'm wrong, but it's things just that Bigfoot, fairies, you name it. They
anything weird or odd that happens in this world.
The cosmos.
And they basically talk about it from a biblical perspective, I guess, and what things maybe could be and whatever.
Yeah.
And basically, and I would agree with them on this, is that you don't need to discount the fact of, like, the spiritual realm and demonic influence and all that. I would agree with them. And so anyway, I sent out a podcast episode to everyone here. And, well, I didn't send it directly to Brandon, but somebody else did. Okay. But I'm not a liar. Like Target. Anyway, The bottom line is, it was Michael Knowles' episode. I don't know the guy's name that was on it.
Yeah, I just reached for my phone, but I don't have
Alberino.
Brandon, do you know?
Tim? Was it Tim Alberino?
Something like that.
That sounds
Something.
right.
Okay.
Let's go with
I'm just
it.
going to go with that. I think
It doesn't matter. Fact check this.
Sam,
I don't know.
It's Michael and Friends, I think, is in the show, right?
Yeah,
Michael Knowles.
Try to find this.
So he does like a 2-hour interview
you
with
can
this
find-
guy, and this is like a part 2.
Part 2, yep.
And what I think is awesome is that, like, it's a really good, like, episode, but he gets into, like, all these different weird subjects.
Tim Alberino. Yep.
Yep. All right. So
First try.
anyway, I thought it was interesting, and the reason why I thought it was interesting particularly is because this guy talks about a lot of weird things that he's went around the world and seen, and on top of it, he does claim to be a Christian.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't know, I thought that some of it was really interesting. A lot of it was really out there. And I just want to talk about it from the perspective of, like,
True Christians.
I don't know. Maybe. I don't know. Yeah, maybe I'll agree with him.
I'm just kidding.
Well, Knowles is Catholic.
He is a
right?
Catholic, yeah.
Knowles is Roman Catholic. So, you know, there's that. But
Michael and Friends.
But I mean, on the things that Michael Knowles is talking about with this guy, I mean, anyway, the things that Michael Knowles brings up in reference to Christianity isn't anything we disagree with him on.
no, actually, it's not. But anyway, let's just kind of talk about what this guy gets into. And I want to talk about the perspective. There was a few different ways I wanted to kind of go with this conversation. But I think I wanted to talk about how far can we go? And we'll reference kind of what this guy gets into. How far can we go as Christians before we bring kind of reproach on the faith and the gospel itself by being kind of out there so far and some of these realms like that? It just sounds kind of ridiculous in a way, or there's no proof of it. You're just kind of like, but I know it's real, you know?
Well, I'm pretty...
It's almost like flat earthers. You know what I'm saying?
yeah.
Like, Brandon, you're not a flat earther, are you? I'm sorry if you are.
He's sorry. He's sorry for you.
Oh no, no, I'm just kidding.
But I know how I
think
deal with
it's-
like
yeah.
I wait. What were you gonna say?
No, I think it's a spherical object. Yeah.
I don't like the way you put that.
We needed that clarification.
It still sounded like you doubted.
It's spherical, I guess.
It's spherical
Probably.
type object.
Yeah.
But I mean, the way I go
ball.
about it though is because I am out there. I'm very out there, but I'm very particular with who I'm out there with. You know what I'm saying? I find my safe space with my.
With who?
Wait, I might need the mug saying that.
Safe space.
Yeah, I find here. I find my safe space where I can be out there with my boys.
Oh no, give it back.
All right,
Yeah.
hold it up.
You're abusing it. It's supposed to be embarrassing.
You know, that's the whole reason we invited Brandon on. So Trenton was not able to make it, you know, and then I was like, man, who would be? I want to still record. You know, we're all free tonight. Let's record. And then I was like, who would actually interact with this subject? Of
Yeah.
the you know, supernatural weird stuff. And I was like,
Aliens.
Brandon.
Brandon is.
Yeah,
So let's talk about one of the first things that he talks about.
Oh,
And
hold
he's-
on, we gotta go back.
Yeah, I brought the Hana Cosmos book. So
Oh man,
yeah,
you already
promotion.
know.
Hold that
You're
up.
welcome. You're welcome, Hana Cosmos. You need
Yeah.
our help.
shameless plug.
You need
Yeah,
Shameless plug.
we got tens of people that watch our show.
From all over the world, right?
from all over the world.
Tens of people from
It's
all
not,
over.
and it's not VPNs. It's not. Anyway, what book is that? By the way,
Yeah, it's called it's the podcast's official book, the only one they've published so far, but it's called Hana Cosmos: Doing Your Duty in a World That's Not Just Stuff. And so it's kind of
duty
their
is
whole,
spelled
it
DUTY.
encapsulates.
Just making sure.
Yeah, it kind of.
Sorry,
It's like one of those
we
bathroom
were having a
books.
discussion. We were having a discussion earlier about Indian and just how they just like crap all over the road and stuff. I was like, well, I mean, like, anyway,
got to
go ahead.
clarify. Yeah. But it kind of
It's spelled
encapsulates their
different for
whole
the Indian version.
their whole worldview, the whole premise of their show, and it goes into some like specifics on certain things like Bigfoot and just more on angels and
Yeah.
UFOs and ghosts and stuff like that. But
Do you like the book?
yeah, I haven't finished it. I have like a couple chapters left, but I think it's really good. They just talk about how we're supposed to live once we recognize that we live in a world that has an unseen part. There's an unseen realm out there that's at war. You know, there's good versus evil behind the scenes that we can't see yet. It very much influences what goes on in the physical realm,
Yeah.
like in what we see.
Yeah, and I would agree with that. No, I've
Yeah.
never actually listened to their podcast. I maybe listened to a few minutes of one episode or something, but I've never listened to like a whole episode, I don't think. But anyway, let's talk about this particular episode with Michael Knowles. The first thing that they get into is like these weird looking
They're
human-
mummies, but they're not mummies.
They're like they're not mummies because they're not wrapped up in like
it
from
wasn't
Egypt.
intentional, but they're like dried out, basically.
They're basically dried out, but
Yeah.
like they don't know what to exactly. According to this guy, they don't really know what to make of these corpses that have dried out, and they have like these really elongated skulls, which
happen.
It's like
we do know how that happened.
yeah.
But anyway, let's talk about that because like he makes a lot of claims, and it's like, okay, well, they definitely did elongate their skulls by wrapping bands around their head as like babies and stuff like that. They would shape their skulls to look all crazy. But his point is that they were mimicking something. If I'm not mistaken, I think that was one of the points
Yeah.
he was making. Is that
Which could very well be true.
true enough? But what were they mimicking? And like he was kind of making the idea of like some. Was he making a point of extraterrestrial type?
Sort
Ideas,
of.
yeah.
Yeah, sort of. So
Sort of
Yeah.
just an alien
Didn't,
type thing,
Indiana
whatever that may
Jones-
be.
Didn't Indiana Jones already talk about this?
Yeah.
he solved it for
He
us.
solved it for us.
Indiana Jones.
Interdimensional beings.
Yeah, and that was the worst Indiana Jones ever.
Is that Crystal
made.
Skull?
Yeah, that was
Yeah, that was so
bad.
But the-
yeah.
Sorry, what?
I was just saying one of the points he says is you brought up the mimicking. He thinks they were mimicking, but also there's not much evidence that these things are real. You know, they're small. They're like little bitty, like 2 foot, 4 foot things. It's Peru, right? Wasn't it Peru?
Yeah.
In Peru. Yeah.
Probably.
And so, but there's not much evidence if they've never done like much test on them. And he brought up like one test.
Well,
and it was like very obscure. Like this one person did a
he
test.
said they did a lot of tests on him because
but it was like one
MRIs, like all that sort of stuff. And then they did it on the thing because they looked to see if it was mixed with anything inorganic or something like that.
To see if it was fake.
Yeah, and it wasn't.
right.
And then they also did, so there were some of these mummy things with the elongated skulls that were pregnant, they said. And then the fetuses had elongated skulls and were similar.
But
inside of the womb.
But there's no picture. That's my
fair enough.
There's no pictures, and of course it was done
according to this guy's claims.
According to this guy's claims, he was saying that not only that, but like all these tests were done in a college or a university in it was in Peru. Am I right?
Sure.
Yeah, university.
It was like a university, and like the government even tried to come in and get those things, but they wouldn't allow them in, which sounds weird that they could stand off the government at a university. Like, oh, you can't come in here and get it. That was weird.
In Peru.
Peru, yeah. It's like
I don't even know anything about the.
It's a library. Be quiet. Shh. They like leave. It's like, you're right. We can't do this in a library. I don't know. I thought some of his claims were wild, although I do think we do know that there were skulls that did exist that were elongated and stuff like that. And
So-
it's just weird because
What did he say about the DNA test? Like, did it?
he said that it
what
was
did it-
mixed with like chimpanzee DNA and stuff.
Well, like okay,
30%.
So it was a large portion of it was unknown. Like they couldn't figure out what it was from or whatever. And then another large portion was human, and then the other portions were, they said, like different types of primates, like maybe 2 or 3 or something like that. I can't remember the names of them, but I guess the thing that was really the wow factor of it was the fact that they didn't know what the other portion of the DNA was.
Yeah.
It was mysterious.
So
here's what they're like hinting at, like, whoa, maybe this is like aliens or something like that. Some sort of hybrid. And he says this throughout the whole thing is like
It's a hybrid.
some sort of hybrid species.
he keeps saying hybrid, and he says that some of the skulls that they did find had bigger
eye sockets.
eye socket cavities, and
Eyes.
and the heads were elongated, but they didn't have the band marks on them.
Right.
Again,
Well,
it's claims, but like it's always like, well, we don't have the skull.
Okay, so let's
Well, we don't have
say though,
that.
like let's pretend we believe that. Oh, well, let's take it as if it's like, okay, this is actually how it is. Like, take his word
Yes.
for it. How would y'all explain that? Like, how would we explain that?
As Christians,
Yeah.
who believe in the authority of Scripture, how would we interact with information like that? And we were convinced it's true information.
Yeah.
That there were these hybrid beings that seemed human.
how old did he say were these skulls and corpses?
I think he did. He say 300 BC,
1500
Yeah, around
1500.
1500 years
years.
ago. Because I remember
Oh.
them talking about Augustine
That's right.
around the same time.
Okay.
I think that's what he said. Yeah.
That's really not, I mean, in the whole scheme of things, that's not that ancient, honestly. It is, but
Ancient
it's not.
aliens.
Yeah. I bet you this stuff has
It's
been on
after
the
the
show.
flood. I mean,
Yeah. Well, he gets into the flood
he
too.
does?
Yeah.
Okay. I knew he did in the other podcast.
Because he thinks that the flood was he thinks a local flood, and that it was so it didn't wipe out
Gavin
all
Ortman got to
all
him.
the
Again,
creatures.
I mean, the whole time he's being very open-minded, sort of.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
where he's like, there's a lot of credit to these people that believe in a local flood. He'll put it that way or something like that.
Which
you know what I mean?
There have
So
been
I
a
don't
lot
want to
of
be
people
like,
that
I don't want to
believe
be
in it.
like, oh, this is what he believes, when really he's being kind of agnostic about so much stuff.
yeah,
But
sure.
which is fine. You know, I'm not that's not even where.
Yeah, the local flood wasn't.
Yeah,
really
the problem was it was, and you'll kind of we'll kind of get to this, but like Michael Knowles would hit him with questions,
yeah.
and he would kind of give vague answers, and then would like spout some random evidence that he claimed was evidence, but not have any, like you said, no proof, no
It was
pictures.
always like, well, they got confiscated. Well, these people are hiding it. Well, this or that. And it's like the proof was never there. And I guess my point is like this guy's claiming to be a Christian. He is like even bringing up biblical concepts. And it's like, at what point do we actually bring reproach upon our faith because we're so out there with no proof? Should we be able to comment on these things without going too far? Is it ever okay? I guess that's kind of the question that I'm asking first, and then we'll get into more of like, what if these things, what could be the reasons? But I think first we need to handle, is it okay to have these discussions as far as he's going, like how he engaged with it?
Yeah, if we don't engage these discussions, then the unbelievers are gonna,
I agree with you on that.
People who reject Christ, they're gonna be talking about it, and your average Joe who's listening to it, might have some stories in his own life he can't explain, or he's heard certain things.
Yes.
Yeah, like we shouldn't be scared to talk about certain things. Like most things, really, we
Right.
should have a voice on them.
Right.
I guess my question is like, okay, I think that we can definitely confirm the spiritual realm, and that there are things that, like, I think people have experiences. Like if you're talking about alien abductions, I would say, yeah, I'm not going to argue that whether you experience that or not. But I would also say, because we have a spiritual realm, and that could have been demonic. Like, seriously. And like, I don't mind saying that, but saying like, okay, but like people have seen people beam through the walls and out into a field, into a spaceship, and sometimes the whole car's taken up into the spaceship, and people have seen this. It's like, but nobody ever has the video. Like, do you understand what I'm saying? It's like there's a lack of proof there. It's like, I think we should engage with these subjects, and I don't think we should be afraid of them. But how do we handle them with wisdom to where we don't seem like the crackpot guy that just like is out of his mind? Yeah, and it's like you can't believe anything that comes out of his mouth.
I mean, I think it comes down to taking everything with a grain of salt. And then also, like you said, with wisdom about how you talk about these things and with who you talk about these things. And then so it's like we can engage with anything and everything. Really.
Yeah.
We can. We have that freedom, and we should be the first ones to do that. But whenever we do, we shouldn't be so quick to jump on board with the next new thing, and really actually use wisdom and think things out. So like what you were saying is like, look at evidence, test. Again, Paul talks about this in terms of testing what a preacher or someone is saying. Even in every other instance, whatever it may be, we should be testing these things to see if they're true.
Yeah.
I mean, scripture, but also other things as well.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, the first step is to be slow to sensationalism.
Yeah, so
and think.
Would you put it in simple terms of maybe not being so gullible?
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, like, I don't know how else to say it.
Why did you write that on the ceiling up there? Oh, he looked up.
Well, I was looking up because I don't know why. You got me. You got me. You know, I was actually looking up, and I was like,
you did it slowly though.
I was like,
You slowly looked up.
well, because you were still looking up, and I was like, what?
Well, he had to actually test and confirm.
I tested and confirmed.
He's not gullible. He's doing it. It's a scientific method.
That's it. It's repeatable.
He looked again.
Yeah. You know what I thought of, like, when listening to this, just kind of overall, is like you were saying, is what if this guy wasn't a nut job? Like, what if he was not making any of this up, and it's all true, and there is some kind of other being interacting with humans and stuff like that? It's like the immediate response from a lot of people is just to discount it, but it's like, what if there was irrefutable evidence? It's like, would that dismantle anything for you? Well, it might dismantle a few things, but does it dismantle fundamental things
Of our faith. So when it comes, this is the difficult one, and it's the issue that I have when we were talking before, when we did the ones on Nephilim. And I think that the trouble that you run into, and I'm not making an argument for either way on Nephilim. Like, it's fine however you believe. I think you can make a biblical case.
Made an argument for one way when we talked about it, Jonathan.
That was the point then. But I'm okay with either belief on it, because I think a pretty good biblical case can be made for either either view on it, that whether it was a Sethite view or whether it was demons who came down and took women for themselves.
Or an in-betweens.
But the question that I always fundamentally go to when you're talking about hybrids, when you're talking about things that aren't really men, is what does that do to our anthropology? Because that starts messing with humanity, what is man, and then it eventually works its way down to who is Christ, and Christ has to be a man. Anthropology is actually important in that, because I know that we don't think it relates to the gospel, but it does eventually get there, and you're like, okay, so are you saying that Christ could have been fully man if he was 50% God and 50% man as a hybrid? Is that a man? And it's like, okay, so what are we referring to when we talk about these beings? Are they men? And so I do think there is an argument that you have to be very careful with in anthropology. What is man and what can be a man? So does that make sense?
I guess anything that's not 100% man
yes,
is not man.
I would agree with that.
Okay, so Nephilim.
Okay, but
it gets back to the image of God, I think.
Yeah.
Right. Like,
right.
If there happen to be some 30% chimpanzee or whatever with this percentage with another percentage of,
it's just theistic evolution.
But does that
just
being
throw that bomb out there?
Yeah.
Does that being still have the image of God? Because there is some man or is some part of human in there.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
That gets into more of also too of just the image of God. How is it something that is merely DNA? Is it merely physical, or is it something that goes deeper than that passes from
the soul?
Right. Like,
yeah, I think that if you fundamentally have, and this is just me thinking out loud, I wouldn't know this positively, but if you had a being that was mixed like that, and I think mankind is the only thing made in the image of God that actually has a soul that goes on and that goes on for eternity, okay? And because I think a mixture of anything like that, and because I don't think that you can have a man is body and soul. And it's actually a very unnatural thing that's ever split apart.
Yeah.
And that's why we see, death is actually unnatural. And actually, even believers that have passed on and even are in the presence of the Lord now are in an unnatural state. That's why we get new bodies in the end and stuff like that. All that being said, because I think that you're not supposed to separate those so much, that they were always meant to be together in a sense.
Right.
That I think that when you start messing with even the DNA of a man and mixing it, I think once you get to that point, I think you have to go to the soul and say, I don't think so, because they go together. Now, could I be wrong? Sure. It's just kind of it's an argument that I'm kind of making a little bit from silence, but I think there's a good principle in Scripture to kind of back that.
And interfering with DNA in that way, you're basically claiming to be God. You're saying I'm going to do what only God is authorized to do, what only He rightfully can do, and that is to create life.
We're actually destroying one of the most precious creations that He made, which is the top of His creation, like the pinnacle is mankind, and we're taking that and we're actually distorting it.
I think going back to like bioengineering, not going back, I'm bringing this up. I know in my head, I'm like, we've been talking about bioengineering for a while.
People are going to think of like, man, where did they edit that out?
But no, like you think of like bioengineering, there's a lot of possibilities now that humans are capable of creating different things. And I think just because maybe there is a difference in DNA, whether it's bioengineered or whatever, some discrepancies in human DNA or something like that, and you get maybe these beings. I'm playing the part, like let's say that these things are real. I don't think that undermines the image of God, because like you said, it is so much more than just DNA. And so, but at the same time, it's like, the question is like, at what point do they not become human anymore? And I don't know, is someone that gets skin grafts from an animal or something like that, or they, their DNA's changed, that doesn't make them not fully human.
Oh, that's a good point.
But at the same time, it's like DNA. I don't know. In terms of the physicality of human nature, I feel like there's a lot that actually could possibly happen.
Yeah.
But then it's still like for instance, if the Nephilim were hybrid beings,
Right.
I don't think that we could say that they're men. The Bible doesn't say that they're men if you take it in that way.
I mean, it does call them men, the great men of
Mighty
renown.
men.
That's
Yeah,
true.
renown.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
I wonder if
Forget
there's a
everything I just
connection-
said.
I wonder
don't
if
know.
there's a connection between.
Thanks for correcting me.
There's commands all throughout Old Testament and then going in the New of against sorcery, against witchcraft,
Yeah.
against all these things. And a big point that, that podcast and, people make is that it's not because, all that is just charlatans, just
It's not all fake.
hat magicians
Right.
who, are doing sleight of hand, but it's actually, there's something there that's real.
Yeah.
That's a unseen demonic force that's tricking them, and so there's real danger because there's an actual thing behind that.
Oh, yeah.
And I wonder, too, like getting to the tampering with our genetics, tampering with, things like that. Is that such a bad thing because you can create a monstrosity out of it? Like there's there's a real consequence or risk in doing that. That's evil. That's,
Yeah, I mean, imagine
Frankenstein.
taking let's say that they manipulate let's say the DNA from the outset, and it's not that they manipulate let's say a fertilized whatever, like, already made, like, and then they implement DNA into it. But let's say from the get-go they're able to mix these DNAs in the creation of it and everything else. And I'm not even saying that's possible with humans or whatever. That's not really the point. I would say that that's fundamentally not a human. Now, it's something else to say that if you, I think,
well, it is possible because they did to some extent, because like, the woolly mammoth mouse, like the mice that have like the hair that they, so there is some,
there's
that's not
some
humans,
mammoth there,
but there's some crossing of kinds kind of there, right?
Well, yeah. What I'm saying is, though, would you say that that is a being that would carry the image of God? That's the point.
Yeah,
I'm not talking about animals. I'm talking about humanity.
Right.
And so, like, you take an embryo and then you manipulate it. I think that's different because God created that embryo. Mm-hmm. And that's his creation. That is the image of man. And then it was manipulated and twisted.
Well, Brandon,
I think that's different than something from the get-go that is, quote-unquote, conceived in a realm where it's never fully human. It's never... Does that make sense? To where its genetic code is never human. And I would say, no, fundamentally, that can't be a man. Yeah. I don't know, man. I'm just out there, but I think there's... Because what he said, I think, was a good point. What Sam said was, what about the guy that gets a skin graft? Or, like, there's actually, like, where we actually replace people's heart valves with ones from, like, pigs and stuff, believe it or not. And it's like, I wouldn't say, I know.
Is that kosher, by the way? If a Jew,
I was about to say,
heart surgery,
the poor Jews could never have this surgery. But, yeah, man, it's not kosher. Sorry. Dude,
they're like, no, I'm filth now.
Could you imagine if like they didn't know that, like, whatever emergency surgery,
that'd be awful, wouldn't it?
And you woke up. They're like, we've replaced your valves with pigs.
Oh, man.
Dude, that'd be so
You'd be like,
bad.
get it out now.
Just kill me.
But anyway, I don't know. That's a different realm, because the argument this guy seems to be making in this podcast is that not that these are humans that have been manipulated, but that these are hybrids that were grown from the get-go. And so what does that do with our anthropology? What does that do with our faith to say, okay, there's beings that are men, but not? Do they have a soul?
I don't think he was necessarily saying that they weren't manipulated, though. I don't think he was really saying like staunch on a certain thing, because he was, again, the agnosticism that he's coming at it with is sort of like maybe in the past they were manipulated in some way to become what they are. But it's like,
But in the past, then they would have been offspring of those manipulated things, which they would have been something different.
sure, yeah.
Yeah.
Well, then at the end, he talks about the abduction.
and that
stories,
is,
right?
yeah. And
Yeah.
that's, I
About-
think that's pointing back to what he was talking to earlier.
Yeah.
Where he talks about, just so that
'Cause
we're
with
not
the-
leaving the audience
yeah.
behind, he's basically talking about in abductions, women are getting impregnated with basically alien babies, is what he was saying. And
Hybrids.
Then hybrids.
Well, he was saying they would, because there's men being abducted too, even though mostly women. He said is what mostly women get abducted, but he was
Mostly women
saying-
get pregnant.
That's true.
Mostly.
But he was saying, they take from the men, and then right.
Yeah.
See, with the- but then-
we get it, Brandon.
yeah, but then
Wait, so
but my point is,
how are babies made?
Yeah, I
but
understand.
my point is they'd add some of their own type of like some alien juju. I'm just trying to repeat what he said in the
That's
podcast.
the best
That's
way.
so
That's the
funny.
best way to put it.
Yeah.
No, that's the most.
I like it.
Yeah. Do you want to just go ahead and get to some of the clips?
Wait, what were you
but then-
saying?
let me-
though?
but then
What were you
Oh,
saying?
sorry. I
Well,
interrupted.
so they were obviously using the natural means in a sense, but then infecting it with some alien stuff. And then once, the woman would be sent back, I guess, but then he would say that they would
Take the baby.
take the baby
Yeah.
and then grow it in their own,
Yeah, basically they're using her as a starter
right, for like
kit.
11 weeks.
Right, yeah, like a starter
Like
kit.
sourdough.
Yeah, basically.
The mother.
I mean, basically.
The whole time y'all were talking, all I can think of is what's that show called? Like the You Are the Father,
Oh, Mari?
yeah,
Mari Povich?
All I can think of is that. It's
Mari
it's
Povich
just-
was the master
That would be
of
a
it.
great skit. It's like it's just an alien.
He's like, the alien's like, obviously the alien isn't speaking because it's telepathic. But in his head, he's like, that is not my child. And the child has an elongated skull. And everyone's like,
big dark eyes with no pupils. And it was like, not my kid. And everybody's like, come on, man. Yeah.
that's a great
let me
reference, Matt. Thank you.
Hey, Matt, go ahead and mute.
Sam.
Mute the video feed
got
so
you.
that I can get this up and see if I can get it running here.
Up and running.
Hold on one second. Did you have it marked where you wanted it?
It's you just play the whole video.
Okay, I'm gonna,
So I just screen recorded it so to save time.
All right.
let me see if I can expand this to get it to fill the screen. Hold
Is it
on,
going to be
people.
copyrighted, though?
I should have
No,
known.
I think we'll pause it a couple times to make sure that we engage with it the right way. I am having a little bit of difficulty getting this to actually pop up the right way. Hold on one second.
Michael Knowles better not. I'm just kidding. YouTube's been
Michael, I thought we were close.
Here
real
we go.
quick while we're waiting on you. I just want to say YouTube's a pain in the butt. They're annoying.
Yes.
But also, if you're watching on YouTube, Spotify, whatever, please leave a like, comment, subscribe.
Yeah, I keep forgetting to say
all
that.
the
the
things.
bell.
Look,
Yeah.
Look, we
Smash that
we've
like
done okay on the shorts, and don't get me wrong, I wasn't expecting over 5 watches on our long form videos. Honestly, nobody knows who we are, and we're new, and it's like we're not going to build this podcast with long form hour and a half. Nobody's going to click on that, but we've gotten a decent amount of hits on our, for starting up, like decent.
Yeah.
On our shorts. I was pleased with it, but I was also actually pleased that we even got I was not even expecting 10 watches on the long form. We've gotten a little bit more than that. I mean, 40 something maybe.
Yeah.
But the point is we have 2 or 3 likes.
Yeah.
It's so if you could give us a like and a
One
share.
of them is my like.
So we have actually just one. And it's probably my mom.
But in all honesty,
Thanks,
though,
Mom.
reviews, if you do listen to us regularly, reviewing is super helpful. That's probably the most helpful. Commenting on the videos and reviewing, even if it's just a thumbs up, that's
Anything.
That's great. We'd appreciate it.
And look, we're not doing this to be known at all. We're doing this because we enjoy it.
Wait, what?
But
That's not what you say.
How long in the studio?
that's not what you say when you beat us and make me hold the gay cup.
Yeah.
You got the clip ready?
I think I've got it ready, so you can turn that volume back up and let's see if we get it.
Oh, wrong thing.
All right. You ready?
Yep.
All right. Am I ready? Hold on. Let me see if I play it here. There we go.
Something like that? Why would it have to be intentional hybridization?
It doesn't have to be. That's just one of the hypotheses.
Okay.
The other hypothesis, the one that I was originally inclined to favor, and probably still do, assuming these are real,
Yeah.
is what you said before. Maybe there is a crypto-terrestrial, non-human race, species, inhabiting planet Earth, probably.
Okay, so on this part, I'm pausing it just so we don't get it. On this part, he's talking about a subterranean. He found some caverns underneath a pyramid or something like that. Like it looks like a vast city, is his claim that he's making, and it's like, oh, but it's on private land. And I'm sorry, look, man. Of course it is, right? Of course it's on private land. You can get to the pyramid, but you can't get to the caverns below. That's a large city, and nobody will let you on it. Again, fine. Maybe he found some caverns. Maybe it's a large city, but that's why he's talking about a subterranean.
Yeah.
But it is related to these creatures that we were talking about, the elongated skulls that he's claiming, and all that, which we know some of them are human, like we said before. But he said they found some that seem to not be human, and they haven't been able to disprove them. And I will say this about this guy. It sounds like I've been really hard on him, and I kind of have been. But he does say that they've only been able to not prove, like, they just haven't been able to prove that it is a hoax, but he's not willing to say that it's definite. Okay, so that's been a plus. But anyway, let me play the rest of this.
Subterranean that interbred with either the Paracas or Nazca peoples in Peru. By the way, these mummies were, they tested them for the carbon-14 to get the date, and they're approximately between 1,000 and 1,500 years old. So that corresponds to the Nazca culture and the end of the Paracas culture. So was there some sort of a contemporary non-human species inhabiting the deserts of Peru? It might not have been desert back then either, by the way.
Right.
But was there a non-human species that was contemporaneous with, let's say, the...
By the way, their setup is sick. That's a green screen.
Yeah, it's really nice.
I want a green screen. We can do green screen on our setup, but anyway. Yeah.
Nazca culture, interbreeding with them. Is this where the elongated skull feature comes from on some of the Nazca, the ones that aren't the result of cranial deformation? Again, presuming that there are some skulls that are natural.
Well, and if you're talking about 1,500 years ago, I mean, when we think of
Okay. So
something like that, why would it have to be intentional hybridization?
It doesn't have to.
Oh, was that still playing? I think it started replaying.
It might have started replaying.
I think it started replaying. Yeah, this is old man Jonathan here. Well, I've never pulled up a video like that way before. But anyway. Well, hold on. Okay. I'm not that illiterate on this stuff. It's through a text message. It's through screen recording. I had to open it up in QuickTime. Yes, I know how to use QuickTime.
I was trying to make it more simple for you.
It is. Oh, now that I know how to do it, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's fine. But anyway, he does say right there, hybrids that came and descended from, like things that descended from like actual hybrids that descended from things that were manipulated in the past. So he's talking about something fundamentally different. And that's what I was saying before. Does that put it in a different ballpark? Can humans, for one, I mean, and this gets back in the Nephilim argument, can two kinds procreate to make a new being? I don't think they can. I don't think really nature works that way. I don't think God created things that way. That's my personal take. He created them by kind, and that's the way that they procreate. But he's not talking about procreation so much as it sounds like manipulation, but he doesn't seem to rule out procreation. But anyway, I don't know how we would engage with that, but
Brandog?
Yeah, it's interesting too, just thinking of, the myth side of all this. Like all cultures around the world have kind of that category of maybe not hybrid, they wouldn't use that word, but just
Chimera.
some half god, half human type of being or something. I mean, you think of in Greek mythology and all the demigods, right? And Hercules and all these other guys who are, their father or mother was one of the gods, but then they're also human.
yeah. Which is when the book of Enoch was written, actually, was during that time when they came up with all that stuff.
It wasn't that popular, though. Wouldn't have gotten to that concept.
Anyway.
Wow, a little dig there, huh?
A little dig. The book of Enoch was written around 300 BC, and that's when I think that the demigod thing started becoming really big.
Yeah, well, the thing, though, is that the Book of Enoch was primarily in the Jewish culture and didn't escape that area.
Yeah. I mean, it would be weird if they were,
I can hardly see that influencing other cultures, Gentile cultures.
Oh, I'm not saying that they influenced Gentile cultures. I'm saying that they came up with their own version.
Oh, you're saying like Gentile cultures influenced the writing of the Book of Enoch?
Yeah, he's seeing that, and he's
I've
like,
never
"Oh,
heard
I can actually come up with my own version of that and relate it to angels mating with women."
Wow, that's silly. What a silly thought you had, Jonathan. But that's silly.
That's off subject, but it does relate to a degree. That's why I brought it up.
Listen to this guy.
to the hybrid theory. The hybrid theory. By the way, I believe in giants. I do believe that giants existed because the Bible speaks of giants, and there is no getting around it. I absolutely believe giants existed.
Like
so
in
just
the NBA, right?
Yeah, like no, I think there are like some 12-footers, man. Like for sure. I think wasn't Goliath 12 foot?
No, he was like
9 to
They say
like 5,
Anywhere
6.
from 9 to 12 is what they say.
6. He's a giant.
They were really small back then.
Well,
It was after the flood.
Yeah, the firmament was gone, and for some reason, the firmament had its own gravitational pull that pulled people upwards.
I mean, Goliath was able to carry 900 pounds of armor.
yeah, I forgot about that.
One
Let's
thing.
not bring that up again, okay?
One thing though is the getting back to like you're saying like the fundamental things.
Yeah.
Now he's talking about stuff that happened 1,500 years ago, and they get into this later on. I think Michael Knowles even asked him the question of like, well, does this mess with
salvation?
Well, yeah, and he brings it back to Adam and Eve, original sin.
Yeah.
And the guy doesn't have a really solid answer on that.
He has a really weird take.
Yeah, and that's where I'm like, okay, this is where it's fun to speculate about all this other stuff, but I'm like, when you go that far, that's where you fall off.
Well, this guy really isn't very theological. For the most part. I mean, he's coming at it from a very sort of just secular and not in terms of a bad way to say that, but just a secular, naturalistic, materialistic sort of stance.
I don't even know this guy enough to. He could have ignorance and actually be a Christian, like a legit Christian.
Yeah,
I don't know. Sure. But the problem that I have is that like he seems to be letting his ideas of these other cultures and these mysteries that he really doesn't know. Like we said, he's kind of agnostic on them. He's like, well, maybe, but then he seems to really come into belief towards the end of the podcast of like, no, these things are actually happening.
That was one of the things with him when I was listening that made me think, like, sort of discredit him in my mind a little bit, because whenever he was going on about how much of a skeptic
I was like,
you don't sound like a skeptic.
No.
And any of the other things that you're saying.
No, he started off with skepticism, and then the further he got into the episode, it seemed like he switched. But
I do think, though, further on into the episode, which we'll talk about, there is more validity to it, I think.
Yeah, I think there's a lot. There's just probably even more interesting conversations to be had. But the thing that I have a problem with is that he started letting these mysteries within the world, like, hey, the elongated skulls, and maybe there are mysterious, like, corpses that we found that seem like like that they have a mixture of different DNA and stuff. And there is a mystery there, but we can't let that mystery dictate our interpretation of Scripture. And it seems like he gets to that point in certain degrees. Like he starts applying it in ways like to Adam and Eve and how we know I'm going to bring this up. And I don't know if you have this on the video, so tell me. The fact that Adam and Eve was telepathic.
No, I don't have that. That's what
Okay.
I'm saying. So if you want, you could play the second clip and then we could go to that.
Okay.
I'll write it down real quick. So you don't forget.
Okay, write it down because I want to get back to the telepathic because I thought that was again going to probably a little bit of ignorance about theology.
Yeah, he was reaching in that part. That was one of the.
Yeah, I want to talk about that because it was like a
and
ridiculous
Knowles had
comment.
Good kind of questions, clarifying and trying to.
Well, I think that it was a bad 1-to-1. Give me a second to actually pull this up, Matt. Hold on,
dude. The telepathic thing, I got.
You got it.
Nope.
I think this would be good to hit before, and then we can end it on the telepathic stuff. So.
I was going to say something totally different. There's a whole slew of episodes we could do on this. I'll tell y'all later.
I already know what you're talking about.
Yeah, dude. Did you ever listen to that podcast?
No, but I've heard enough about it. Like
okay,
I don't even know what you're talking about.
I don't. No, don't say it. Don't say it. Don't say it.
Let's.
Of course, I'm just saying. Of
Don't
course,
say it yet.
I want you to listen. You, Sam.
But
I want you to listen to.
Let me play this video. Let's.
Before we do that, can I ask?
Yeah.
Real quick.
Hold up. I had the wrong thing. Hold up. Let me get rid of this.
What was the? So you said he asked a question about how does this impact salvation? What was the question there?
So Michael Knowles asked a question somewhere within the episode, and I don't know even. He goes, okay, so if these things are true, what does this do with I think he says like our faith and even salvation itself. Now the guy never gets back around. He goes, well, that's an essential question. He even acknowledges, well, that's the essential question, but he actually never actually answers. Like he just kind of moves on and goes into other weird things, which look, that happens in free form when you're just flowing with the conversation. Look, it happens on this podcast all the time. We'll say, hey, we're going to get to this, and we never get to it. We might, comment. It's just like eventually you just got to shut the episode down, and I get it. So I don't want to judge him too much, but he never gave an answer to that. And I thought that actually was a really good question from Michael Knowles. He's Roman Catholic, so I think that's terrible, but at the same time, Michael Knowles, a lot of times he makes some pretty good points because, he is grounded in other truths that we would agree with. But anyway.
Okay.
All right, let's start this video.
Abduction phenomenon. And what you have to understand about this phenomenon, the abduction phenomenon, is that this is an area of research that lends itself to scientific inquiry. Yeah. This isn't just fanciful stories. These stories have every kind of evidence to prove a case in a court of law.
Such as?
Well, when abductees are taken, they're physically removed from the point of abduction. They're not there anymore. You've had incidents in which people have been abducted and search parties have been sent out to look for them. And then they mysteriously appear back in their room or back on the couch or whatever. You have cases in which abductees, there's third-party witnesses. Yeah. Like a neighbor sees their neighbor being abducted.
Like beamed up to a spaceship?
Everybody has cameras
in some
now,
cases.
Man. That's my issue.
You have abductees
EMPs.
Have physical evidence on their bodies.
Their phone doesn't ever work
Sometimes
again.
There's an abduction episode that happens, and when they return, they have scars. Fully formed scars that they didn't have the
And that's what we were talking
before.
about before.
Yeah.
And, of course, you have abductees who return with fetuses in their wombs.
Okay.
And
so let me pause
and they
this.
weren't pregnant previous.
Okay, so this one is where I think that the argument gets really kind of vague and not very good on his side. He's like, these women turn up pregnant. And it's like, okay, well, so they know that they're pregnant. Yes. And it's like, oh, but then they're not pregnant. And it's like,
Like they miscarry or something?
okay, like I mean,
No, they
it's
take
so,
the children.
and he's like, oh, well, we know that the children were took out of their body, and when he says, how do you know? It's essentially through regress memory revelation through hypnotism. Okay, so let's get into that, because it's like, I think hypnotism is a doorway into the spiritual realm that can be demonic, and so
Yes.
it's like now you're introducing things that can be harmful to the person. So maybe this person was never pregnant, or maybe this person was pregnant and had a miscarriage. Maybe this person was pregnant and had an abortion. You don't know. And it's like now you put them under hypnotism, and now they're very suggestive. I mean, like, wouldn't we all agree that if hypnotism is real and it has real effects on people, it is very influential? Because people get hypnotized. I know people that have went to get hypnotized to quit smoking and stuff like that. I'm not saying it's good. I'm not saying it's right. I would never do that. I think it's wrong. But my point is, it's a thing, right? And so
Right.
we all know that it's supposed to kind of override things.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's like, okay, so what memories could be implied? What things can be? I think there's a study that was done, and Matt, maybe you know a little more about this, and remind me that a lot of people that supposedly had regressed memories, like a very high percentage of them,
Repressed?
like, am I using the right word?
I don't know.
No,
I think I'd
repressed
get-
is right. I think.
Yeah, repressed.
Repressed. I think he uses a different word.
Anyway, what were you saying?
Anyway, maybe I'm using the wrong word. If I am,
Sorry.
I'm just redneck.
It doesn't matter.
So forgive
What was
me.
it you were saying though?
Was that a lot of them come away with abuse stories and like accusing their dad of abuse and stuff. And it's a
Yeah.
very high rate, and it's like it comes out that proven that like that never actually happened.
Oh, the Freud thing? Sigmund Freud?
Yeah,
what he brought
Is
up.
that it?
There's a lot of
Yeah.
He
yeah.
brought that up, in the podcast.
But
yeah.
one thing I wanted to talk about too, though, is that it wasn't just like these are just single witnesses of something that happened, because they talk about it. There's testimonies of people experiencing this in a group, like with
Yeah.
multiple people, was what
Right.
he brings
Or
up.
he was saying like seeing people at the grocery store,
Yes,
right?
yeah,
that
exactly. That's where I was
Never
going.
met before,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And then they remember not through hypnotism, but they remember because they're like, wait, I've seen you before. And then they remember like,
Okay.
oh, that happened to the both of us. Like, how would you explain that?
So-
if that's
Well,
true,
well,
if,
hold
that's,
on.
if that's true.
That's the thing, is he says that this has happened, but then we don't have the people being interviewed. We don't have the video of this.
well, I don't know.
But
About
part of
that.
the
I'm not
thing
saying
is-
it doesn't exist.
Right. And I think that's what this podcast was. Like he's saying these claims. They could be right. They might not be right.
Yes.
That's for us to now go and.
Well, he's
and
saying
look.
that no. Well, on this part, he says this will hold up in the court of law.
Yeah, he did.
He is making a claim that
Right.
no, this is like pretty solid.
Right. But
And
But he doesn't cite like here's the URL link to this
He should.
picture,
Sure.
right?
he should. I mean, that's the point. Is like, hey, look it up.
Maybe he does elsewhere.
Maybe he does.
he
elsewhere.
might. He might.
Give him the benefit of the doubt.
But
he might, you know.
as a person who is very forgetful myself and have mistaken people for other people in the grocery store,
Yeah,
I
but-
know how this goes.
Yeah, but for the
like,
both,
there was one time it
for
was so
the
embarrassing.
both of you, for both people though, to remember the
recognize.
same experience and both recognize each other from that experience.
Okay,
that's
so
different.
so
Yeah. There's
so
two
we're
witnesses.
being told. So
Yeah,
we're being
yeah.
told.
Again, yes,
That's all I'm saying.
but playing along.
But funny story. Anyway, I was in the grocery store one time. We were at Sam's Club, and we ran across this person that I was convinced that this person was another person. Okay, that
Right.
we had known in the past. Not all that long ago, by the way. This is how dumb I am. And everybody says, "Oh, I don't remember her name, but I remember her face." Well, apparently I remember neither, because I got this lady mixed up with someone else, and this is so funny because we saw this woman in the store. And my wife starts talking to her and asking her. And I was like, oh, yeah, how's your husband? And I start going on about her husband that I thought was her husband. And it's not. And she's looking at me with this blank, confused face. And I'm like, sitting there going on about like this. And my wife is looking at me like, you idiot. Like, and I'm wondering why she's looking at me this way. And she looks at me, and finally she has to sit there and say, this is how dumb I am. She turns around and says, this isn't what you think it is, basically. And I was like, oh, I'm gonna go look at the burritos.
Yeah.
Wait, so
like,
you weren't probed like me by the aliens?
Yeah.
But I mean, look, it's a stupid point. It's a stupid story, and it really did happen. But
Well, I was gonna say
we
so.
were buddies on that spaceship.
Yeah, we're buddies.
we were both our memories were wiped. You have to wake up. Remember, wake up. You have a husband that you don't remember. You have a husband.
Comfort me when you.
Maybe I was right.
you
may have been right. Maybe I was the only one that was right. Yeah. Anyway,
They're gaslighting you.
Yeah, but I was thinking of like, so you think of, and they get into this a little bit in the episode of like people who take psychedelics and stuff like that, and they they see the same thing, experience the same thing, and pretty much my conclusion. You could call me crazy. You can call me crazy. Maybe I listen to too much Haunted Cosmos. My conclusion to most things when I hear like this is not necessarily to say, oh, this person's lying. Like these people, you know, there might be true testimonials. Like if someone told this to me, I wouldn't immediately go to, oh, they're just making it up. Maybe they are like schizophrenic and they're crazy.
I wouldn't say that either, by the way.
But I would go to, okay, well, maybe something did happen to both of you and it's similar. You saw each other in this weird vision or whatever.
It's demonic.
But it's demonic.
Yeah.
It's
Right.
because it's never. It's the same thing with psychedelics, and I remember we had an episode we talked about this.
Yeah.
It's what the demonic realm wants.
Right.
They want to
Deceive.
They want to
Yeah.
deceive you and point you away from Christ, and that's what it always leads to. All this alien stuff, it almost always leads to that. Is some kind of like.
Ultimately, a lot of the stuff that you hear about in abductions seems demonic. And I mean, I don't mind saying that. It's just like, that's why I find it interesting that people think that like, oh, this will undo the Christian faith if we discover alien life. And I'm like, why would it ever? Like, I don't even understand that. Like, the Bible doesn't talk about that. But it's like, it doesn't undermine the faith, but it only just proves to me that there's an unseen realm. There's things that are mysterious that the Bible does acknowledge. Remember in the Bible that there are some crazy things that happen. There are admitted in the Bible is that when Moses goes to Pharaoh, that there are two magicians that are able to turn water to blood, and they're able to turn staffs to snakes. It doesn't have any problems with it. Like, and so there's some things that happen, like, that are mysterious. There's other things in the Bible that we could refer to. And so it's like to discount, and I don't discount people's experiences. Mm-hmm. In other words, your experience, you might think your experience, it's the interpretation of the experience.
Sure. But there's still something there.
There's still
that's real.
something there that's real to them.
Right.
Now, the interpretation of that, has to be through Scripture.
Right.
And I think as Christians, that's where we have to go. The experiences can't interpret Scripture. That can't be the lens. The lens is Scripture, and we interpret the whatever it is through that, and through the lens of Scripture. And so it's like any incident that happens, we look at it through the lens of Scripture, not the other way around. And I think that's my issue for the most part. Is like, I don't mind saying that these people experience stuff. I don't mind saying that they're convinced that they were abducted by aliens. And by the way, I don't think that the Bible even says anything about aliens. There could be some other beings that are interdimensional even that we don't know about. I don't mind saying that. Like, I don't know. Like, there's another dimension that we know of, this spiritual realm. So, you know, whatever. Yeah.
But you brought up like sleepwalking and stuff.
Yeah.
Like which that would be like more of like the scientific materialistic explanation for, you know.
Well,
what
those things have happened though. Like where people go on a sleepwalk and then they end up back in their bed and stuff like that. And I've heard of kids like
which he did
hiding.
say there were search parties too, which kind of
true.
If the claim is true, you know, if that story
true. But I also
accurate.
know that there's been stories of like people like say a child, and I'm just throwing this one out. I don't have any particular story, but what I think I remember hearing this anyways. Like kids will hide. I'm making it up. Okay, I'm just lying.
Well, no, you just kind of sound like the guy.
Now. Yeah.
I sound like the guy, but like a kid hides.
Tim?
Well, okay, I do have actually a story of this. There was a guy one time we were in a meeting at our work, and this was when
What's
I
his
worked at Coca-Cola. Yeah.
What was the year? What's the date?
Well, it was over 12 years ago because I was at Coca-Cola, but we were in
How
a
do you
meeting.
know that?
I was a salesman. Let me finish the story, please. And I remember this guy gets up and he runs. Like, he gets a call in the middle of this meeting, a sales meeting, and he gets up and he just runs out. Absolutely runs out, like, doesn't tell anybody. He goes, I got to go, and it's an emergency. And I'm like, my goodness. Like, everybody's just kind of quiet for a second. We're hoping that he's all right. Well, later on, I talked to him, and his kid was missing. They start searching everywhere. They're calling the police. They're looking everywhere. Little kid. The kid was hiding under the bed the whole time.
Hide and seek champ.
Find him later on. And so that's what I'm saying.
To
it's
evade
like
the police? That's awesome.
But think about it in terms of like this. Okay, so someone's missing out of their bed. A kid's missing out of their bed. And a kid's... the police aren't going to go look under the bed. They're going to go do a search party thing, right? And so it's like... Things happen.
And I don't know if that story that he's talking about, if that was the only piece of evidence, was that, they were like mysteriously disappeared out of their bed and now they're back in the same spot. Or if there was other, usually there's probably more, like they had the memories or whatever along top of
Again,
on top
the
of that,
regressed memories, suppressed. I'm sorry. Regressed sounds stupid, I admit.
Repressed.
I don't know why I keep saying regressed because that sounds like they...
I have Alzheimer's.
Like they went to the bowels of their being. Anyway, they kept just burying themselves. Well, actually, maybe that does work. But anyway,
ADHD.
But the thing is like the way that they get to these memories, I think opens them up to demonic.
For sure, yeah.
To the demonic influence. And so that's what I'm saying here is like, I don't know if all these other things are true. But what I will say is that these people, if they're coming up with these memories and stuff like that of these experiences, they've opened themselves up to it. Mm-hmm. And I don't doubt that things are happening. Like, again.
And what do you think, too, about like all over the world, different cultures? He was making that point of, you know, it's not just here in America and Arkansas or something, but people all around the world, similar experiences, similar stories of evidence that they may have had.
We always hear this, that there's evidence all over the world, the same thing. Again, it's like, okay, where's the references? And I'm not saying they don't exist. They might.
He did say, look on the comments of the video, right? He did say, like, look, see if somebody, if people, which, you know, that
it still goes back to, I think, the same, you know, thing is like, well, even if it is happening all over the world, even if this all was happening, and kind of the what we started off with is like the what if, even if all this is true, say every story he's saying of like these people experiencing this is true, it's like it doesn't mean really much, if that makes sense. Of like it's still demonic, you know. And not to cut, but like,
no, go ahead.
I was just saying, leading into like even the telepathic is like, because I was fascinated by the fact that he kept referencing that they only communicate through telepathic means.
Yes.
Well, why is that? You know, I that's what I think of. Like, I go
this
back
goes
to
back for
demonic.
Me also to the drug thing of the psychedelics and stuff like that. And my view on that is that I think that those things open you up to the spiritual world in a way that we're not meant to be.
I think it removes barriers.
It removes barriers. And so I think the reason people are seeing similar things when they do these drugs is because, and I I have some experience doing them as well, and that probably influences my opinion on them. But not recently.
I was about to say
pre-conversion.
Just right before I walked in the door here.
If you're
I'm seeing them right now, guys. Help!
If you're curious about this, go back and listen to, I don't know what episode, but Sam's testimony. You can listen to that.
The men behind the mics.
Men behind the mics.
You know what's crazy is, and I don't know if you know this, is that was the most listened to episode
Still?
on our audio podcast. I'm pretty sure.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, thanks, guys. Thanks for being interested in me, I guess.
Mine was the least, so I don't know.
I wish my wife was that interested in me. as you guys
But,
are.
You know,
No,
I think,
but if I could continue.
the
No.
gay cup again?
no.
No, but what I was saying is that I do. I'll take it. What I was saying though was that these things open you up to the spiritual world in a way that isn't natural and that isn't meant for us as humans, at least right now. And it makes sense, but you have to think that in terms of state of consciousness, that is what these drugs are influencing. And it's not like it just takes drugs to change your state of consciousness, because we dream. We go to sleep and our consciousness isn't the same. Our experience of the world and how we perceive things isn't the same when we even dream.
True.
So again, going back to what you're saying with sleepwalking and stuff like that. And also, we don't know in terms of really what kind of effect that the demonic realm and what kind of effect the spiritual realm has upon us, upon certain people, in certain states of mind. So let's say there's a person that is going to bed, maybe they are sleepwalking or something, and maybe they're dreaming things that seem so real, and maybe a lot of these dreams could be influenced by supernatural beings that are doing this. And it's just, I feel like that they kind of coincide. I feel like it makes sense he brought them up in this podcast. But I feel like a lot of it could be not just subjective, because there's almost it kind of blends between the two of objective and subjective whenever you have groups experiencing the same thing. And I think there's a mystery to consciousness to begin with, because I mean, even us in this room, our consciousness of perceiving the reality that we're in and everything, we're all experiencing somewhat similar. We're connected in a sense. And it's like, who knows in the spiritual realm how much, I'll probably sound like a nut right now. But
That's okay.
But in the spiritual realm, it's like, how much is our conscious, and I don't think this is like far out there, but it's like how much of our consciousness is interconnected in a sense to where we do experience similar things, even if it's not in a physical sense where we're in the same room.
Yeah.
Well,
there's just a lot of mystery to it, but I feel like the best explanation is that these things are demonic, that are influencing our perception of reality, just as a psychedelic might do.
I actually have no problem with that. And I sound like a major skeptic. And that's fine. Like, I do tend to kind of lean on that a little, probably more. But you have to understand, I'm not like, I'm a guy, I might be the only guy in this room that has experienced actual sleep paralysis. I was talking about that earlier. Like, I've experienced it. Like, I know that it was, like, I'm convinced it was demonic. And I used to have it happen to me often.
I've had psychedelic paralysis. Bad mushrooms.
No, I've never taken illegal drugs. And so
they were legal for sure. I mean, you grow them. You just grow. All you got to do is grow them. I mean, it's natural.
But anyway, I have experienced that, and I've experienced other things that are kind of crazy. Like there was one time I experienced sleep paralysis. And it was actually when the Lord was working in my life, when I felt like I was starting to come to the knowledge of the truth and even the saving gospel, like in a sense, in the truest sense. And it's like, I remember laying there and having the sleep paralysis happen, and then having like this demonic like encounter of like this like growl that was so loud in the room that it shook me to my core, to where I got up and got out of bed and started walking around the house at 12 o'clock at night. My wife was still up cleaning the kitchen, as a wife should. No, I'm just kidding.
12 in the morning.
She was, dude. She was still cleaning. Like, I got an awesome wife. Man, she's like a machine. She just keeps like cleaning and stuff until it's done. But anyway, I don't know how she does it. But the thing is,
the beatings.
Yeah. But
it's not just us, okay?
She's like, well, I hear the growls from my husband. No, I'm just kidding. But the point
that
is,
was you, honey.
But I remember walking into the kitchen and just pacing and being like, yeah, I just experienced something, like I can't sleep right now. Like, I'm serious, and like I believe that was real. And so I'm not shut off to this stuff. I believe that things happen, and I've I used to experience sleep paralysis before I think that I was freed from that through the gospel, by the way. So I'm not completely like, I don't want people to think that like I'm the guy that like nothing spiritual can ever happen or anything. I absolutely believe it can, but I do have an issue, and I think this is where I'm getting to, is how do we engage with these things without looking like the nutcases with no proof? Does that make sense? Like, because I don't think that we need to be illogical. And it's like, and I'm not saying that this guy is. Like, I'm not saying that everything that this guy said is junk. I'm not. But I think that there is a realm where it's like, okay, you keep saying all these statistics, you keep saying these things, but there's nothing of substance. Like, you don't have the skulls. You don't have the DNA. You don't have the bodies of the giants. You don't have this. I believe giants existed, but he's making a claim that, like, the Smithsonian says that they found giants in America, and they confirm it. Well, just to fact check them, I looked up the Smithsonian and looked it up, and
he said
they deny it.
They were hidden records for the Smithsonian, and then
They said that
it was basically a mole in the Smithsonian that gave it to him.
They said that it was routine for people back in the day to have been sensationalists of like these stories, and it was because they were competing essentially to make the best story. It wasn't like it was in the past. It was like, oh, how do we make a good thing? I mean, we see it now. It's like, how do we get people to click?
But it always starts with something like a kernel of truth.
Oh,
right,
well, I believe giants existed.
Yeah,
Giants, exactly. So that would be the kernel of truth.
So 90% probably sensationalized.
Right.
There might be 10% that's okay. That might have been some bones of a giant.
Heck yeah.
So
Well, I mean, we could put the in terms of the flood, though. I mean, you have, you're talking about kernels of truth. You have all sorts of ancient Near Eastern and also around the rest of the world of an apocalypse happening, and it's not the Bible. These these myths going on about the flood, but it was still something that happened, and so
it adds to the evidence that the Bible puts forward. I do think that things add to the evidence.
Right.
Yeah,
physically.
but I was talking in terms of the example he gave of there being a kernel of truth starting something out and then it being over and then finding out it's true.
I would agree.
It's like that the flood is a special case. It's not like a mirror image of what he was talking about. But
no, I would agree. I guess that we need to close this up. There was other stuff I want to talk about this guy, like how he said that human beings they were always telepathic. Adam and Eve are telepathic because when we pray to God, it's telepathic, which that's just dumb on its face. I'm sorry. Like, I'm not calling this guy dumb, but that concept is dumb because God knows all things. He knows our thoughts. We're not telepathic because we pray in our mind and God hears him. It's because he knows all. He knows us. It has more to do with him than us. We're not telepathic.
Yeah.
But anyway, that doesn't prove telepathy because prayer exists.
Well, do you think God taught Adam and Eve their language?
Anyway.
I do like Michael Knowles that he was like, well, we were made with ears and mouths.
Yeah, he brings it up, and I do think that that's a good point. But I do think that when you pray in your mind, God hears you. But the thing is like, it's because he knows all. He knows you. He knows every single fiber of your body. He knows every thought of you. And so it's like that's because of him, not because of you. Has nothing to do with you in a sense. But anyway, I think that basically we can come away with this is that all experiences, whether they're valid or not, to what degree or not, I think all of us probably agree to a different level of validity in this guy's testimony, right? Like, I'm probably a little more skeptic versus maybe, I don't know, maybe not. I think we're all kind of skeptic, but at the same time, it's like we all would affirm that things are probably happening. But I think that these things, I think this is just what we can close out with is, again, what we said earlier is you have to be willing to subject experience to the Word of God and not subject the Word of God to experience. And the reason why I say that is because I know someone who thinks that it's okay to go to mediums. And the reason why is because they think they've heard from their grandmother. And the reason why is because it was an emotional thing that they experienced. I believe they experienced that. But I know that the Word of God says that you shouldn't do that. And so I don't care what your experience was. You shouldn't do that.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? So it's like we subject it to the Word of God. And so there's reason why there are guardrails for us that the Word of God puts forward is because these things are dangerous and God doesn't like them. Even if they weren't dangerous, God doesn't like them. So, but anyway, they are dangerous. But anyway.
And I did want to say there's always going to be groups of people when we're having these discussions who will hear this and just dismiss it,
Yeah.
Because they're coming from that atheistic worldview.
Naturalistic.
Naturalistic worldview.
Material.
And so even if we're not agreeing with all of Tim's claims or maybe, we're more discerning and a little bit skeptical, but there's a point where even just acknowledging the fact of the spiritual realm, there's going to be people who are so antagonistic to that.
Yeah.
And so when we talk about these things, we should just not care
I think that
about what they think.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about how to engage without bringing reproach upon our
Right.
faith and our testimony of the gospel. I think that the way that we protect from that, because you're right, there are people that no matter what, that are atheists that are going to say, I don't believe in the spiritual realm and you're an idiot, and they're going to think you're foolish no matter what.
Right.
But I think that that's when we just stick to, I think that we need to be about the gospel. And I think we need to be about the core things and not getting sidetracked in all this craziness. I think this is fun. I think these are fun discussions. Like, these are good discussions to have just because they're fun, they're interesting, and there is a sense of, like, application that we can have if we have people that are going through things. And it's like, no, I believe that you are experiencing things, but I also don't believe that it's this because of the Bible says this. There's ways that we can engage with believers and stuff, people that are curious and ask them about the faith. I just think that we got to stick to the core things. And the core thing is the gospel, the person of God, who God is, the person of Christ, and who we are before a holy God. And I think if we stick to those things, we're doing okay. We're not bringing reproach upon the gospel with these side issues that are just making everything convoluted and weird and distracting. We don't want to distract from the core.
Yeah.
I think that people that are willing to talk about these things, it's okay. I think the people that it's going to even just put up an extra level, does that make any sense? Like, it's like it doesn't do anybody any good. Let's not even talk about that. Let's talk about the core things.
Yeah.
I don't know if y'all agree, but
Well, it depends on, I can see what you're saying. It depends on, too, like, the audience who's listening to,
wisdom.
Yeah.
Let's just say that. Just use wisdom
Right.
in your audience. Anyway, we're moving on to our last segment, and Matt, you've kind of put this one together. And
Yeah. I'll take it from here, I guess.
I
So
guess I'll do the video.
yeah.
I don't even know what it is.
Not yet. Not
Okay,
yet.
okay.
I'll tell you when to play. You listen here. I'll tell you when.
Yeah, you listen here.
Now Matt's doing the beatings.
Yeah.
So we're gonna rank as our segment. We're gonna rank sports.
Does it
From-
matter what order I play these in?
Well, don't play anything yet.
I'm not.
No, it
Just
doesn't.
asking.
It doesn't matter.
okay.
You choose what you want. I might give
And
you a
there's
suggestion.
3?
Yeah, but it's all the same thing.
Okay.
So we'll save that.
Okay.
But so we're gonna rank sports from most manly to the gayest sports.
Or from the gayest to uninteresting.
It's either gay or uninteresting. That's not exactly the way we want to put it.
Yeah. So we're gonna start with 1 is most manly. I'm gonna keep track of what y'all say, and then I'll judge y'all at the end
Okay.
versus who ranks these best. 1 is manliest. 5 is gayest.
So are you you're the judge?
But once you submit your answer, so I'm gonna give them. I'm not gonna tell you what's next. Once you submit your answer, it's final.
Yo, I feel like it's not fair that we have a gay judge though. Like he's
Hey,
biased,
so-
obviously.
So here's what I would say is go ahead and mute my my feed there. Just mute it.
Yeah, I got you.
I'm gonna try and see if I can pull this up without.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I'm gonna start with the first one,
Okay.
and then y'all. So on a scale, you got 1 through 5.
1's manly. 5
One's
is,
manly,
yeah.
but I'm
One's
saying like
uninteresting.
the list is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5.
Oh, okay.
So
Yeah.
once you place it on this list,
Right, yeah.
it's there. If that makes sense.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah. So you can't be like this is a 1 and then the next
Yeah.
one's a 1. It's like it has
So
to be
hold
1,
on.
2.
Hold
It's a
on.
tier list.
I've seen these before.
So the higher in the tier, the more gay it is.
Yes.
5 is the gayest.
Five is
or
gayest.
is 1 the gayest? This is
No,
number
1
1.
is
gay.
5 is the gayest.
We're not man enough podcast. It's 1 is the manly
Yeah. Okay.
version.
Okay.
But so that
Okay.
makes sense. Tier
But
list.
there's
You
only
can't.
5 of 'em.
You can only
It's slots. 5 slots.
one slot. Yeah.
Yeah.
Per.
Yes.
All right.
Oh,
So
okay.
Up to 5.
We get
First-
it. We get it.
first sport I'm gonna go with is cricket.
Oh, hold on. Do I have that or
No. Just. just-
okay. This is
I'll
something
tell you when to play a clip. So.
Okay, so
Okay.
Jonathan.
cricket?
Yeah.
I don't know anything about those animals. No. The thing is
Those
like
sodomites.
I think I think cricket is got to be the weirdest, most unknown sport that I've ever seen in my life.
It's one of the biggest
That
in the
is
world.
the best way to put it for an American.
I honestly don't even know how it works. So I'm gonna say
Baseball, right?
Sort of, yeah.
It should be
It's
baseball,
like gay
but it's
baseball.
not.
It is. Yeah.
The bat.
For one,
The bat's still straight.
These pansies. let's hold on. I'm
The
gonna
bat
make
is still straight.
I'm gonna make a case for this.
But is the batter?
Okay, so the bat in cricket,
It's a paddle.
they made it wider.
Okay, if it's a paddle,
Okay, it's a paddle.
it's got to be pretty.
And they don't paddle down the river, people. Anyway, they made it wider,
Yeah.
and then on top of it, they
I think it came
bounced.
first, actually. Though.
I don't care. They bounced the ball off the ground before they hit it,
Yeah. It's
so
'cause
it slows it up.
It's hard to hit it. If
Do
it's
they
just-
run?
It's going too bad.
Hey, do they run bases?
I don't know. Like I think you
sort
can
of,
even
yeah.
hit it behind you.
This is so.
Okay.
Yeah. Just
What do
give me
they-
an
what do
answer.
they wear?
Three.
All right.
That's good. That's good. You
so-
put me down for 3 too.
What's their
'cause that
outfit?
is what it's middle of the road for me.
Just basic like
Safe.
uniforms. I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
What are you going with, Brandon?
Yeah, my gun.
Did
my
you
gut.
ask what their outfit? Did you ask what their outfit was?
Bro, oh my gosh. Okay. No,
Well, what are
My
they
gun-
wearing?
Let's see how gay this is. Anyway, go ahead, Brandon.
yeah,
Yeah, continue.
my gut instinct was 3.
Okay.
All right.
No,
all
I
right.
think that's a good middle of the road.
It's because I don't know enough about it.
Yeah.
All right. So next one, soccer.
Oh, dude, I'm putting this at 2. I'm
2?
I'm jumping in here. This is definitely 2. I don't know what else you have coming.
That's that's kind of the point.
So I'm gonna put it at 2, just because I mean grass fairies. That's what they're called.
Yeah.
I mean that's pretty gay. If this is
Yeah.
the worst one so far, it would have been 1 for me. But I'm gonna have to go 2.
Brandon.
You know, I don't want to keep following you, so I'm gonna do 1.
You're gonna go 1.
Yeah.
Oh,
Prancing
I'm gonna
around,
risk it all.
dancing.
1. You're risking it all.
Okay, so
You're gonna regret that.
So here's the thing: is I have never. Hold on, I have never in my life met a gay Mexican.
Dude, I'm
That's
so
true.
sorry. I've
That's
been
true.
doing this wrong.
Okay, so I've never met
No,
a gay.
I did it. I was going 1 as the gayest.
I know. I
What?
thought
No,
that's
yeah.
So you're a 4.
Yeah, I'm
Well,
at 4.
Okay, I can change that real
Yeah,
quick. I'll
I'm
give
at
you
4.
I'll give
That's
you
what
a
I meant.
grace.
And then
grace.
that means Brandon's at 5. Did you put? Because were you thinking along the same lines?
No, I was thinking soccer's the manliest.
Yeah.
Oh,
that's-
okay.
That's
No,
fair.
you weren't.
Yeah, no, he likes
No,
it.
I was.
Dude, what if
yeah.
he brings
likes
up
it.
like?
Hey, I'm
like,
thinking there's gonna be some stuff.
oh,
in here.
okay.
I don't know. There's gonna be.
What if he
Okay, so-
says like boxing or something?
Oh, hold on. Fair enough. But the thing is the interesting thing is that you're the one
most
that
men
makes
play this.
the field.
That's true.
Here locally, you make the field so beautiful for these
I do.
grass
Hey,
fairies.
you know what? Hey, wait. Come to me. Come to me. I want to tell y'all something I did. Okay, without even knowing, in ignorance,
Don't get yourself fired.
the pattern that I put. Okay, so you can do different patterns on fields when you're mowing and stuff if you can stripe it. Normally checkerboard or diamonds or something like that. I did. I'm not kidding.
You did rainbows.
I did a rainbow. No, you didn't. I'm not kidding, dude.
I was joking.
So okay, there's a why can't I think of the shape? A rectangular field. There's a rectangular field. Okay, and then I went like this, and then I did my pattern like this. So it's like a bow the whole way. It's just curves.
Nice.
And then I went and I was like, I looked at it. I was like, yeah, that's good. You know. My work was good. My work was good. And I'm like, wait, it's the month of June. We were going to think like that's intentional.
That's the, you could just put at the bottom of the field, Noahic covenant.
So,
homo.
Yeah, we're taking this back.
All right, let's move this thing
What's
on.
your answer, Jonathan, for soccer?
So I've never met a gay Mexican, and they love soccer.
Soccer, yeah.
And so
the rest of the world loves soccer pretty much.
The rest of the world, but the rest of the world is kind of gay.
True.
But I've never met a gay Spanish person, so I'm going to say I'm going to rank it in the two.
Two? Okay. All right.
Although I hate it.
Yeah, it's kind of mid.
it.
It's kind of mid. So, and then, all right, number 3, or well, my list of number 3. I don't need to say number 3. The third option is American football.
Oh, 5. Like not like
Five
hold
is-
on 1.
5 is gay in our game.
Oh yeah, I keep mixing it up.
Yeah.
1. Dude, American football is like, look, I'm sorry. This man over here next to me, you can't see over here. That guy is still dealing with problems from playing football. That tells you how manly it is.
Yeah, if it leaves you scarred for life, heck yeah, bro.
Anyway, it's dude, look, these guys basically put on gear and become ballistic missiles. So
They also wear
1.
tight pants though,
True.
Yeah. But that's still very masculine.
and it's all about the ball. It's all about balls.
I don't even know what you mean by that.
All right, Sam,
you know what I mean.
what's your ranking?
Okay, so I put soccer at 3, and then
No.
I put cricket at 3. Cricket at 3, soccer at 4.
Yeah.
Okay. I'm gonna put football, American football, at number 2.
Number 2. Okay.
I hope I'm not messing myself up.
What would be 1?
like MMA?
Well,
What?
I just messed up, I guess, totally.
I mean, it's still can be close.
I gotta do 2. I gotta do 2.
Okay.
I can't put it in the 4th or 5th slot. That's
nah, man.
All right, and then next on the list
Oh no.
is frisbee golf.
yeah.
Frisbee golf.
Frisbee golf, although I have partaken of the frisbee golf.
It is
it's
fun.
It's fun.
It's fun.
Not like
Yeah.
regular golf.
But it's also for the most unathletic person possible.
Okay, it really is like golf, but neutered.
Yeah, that's exactly.
It's on the gay level. It's gonna have to hit a 4 out of 5
Okay.
because although I play it, so I'm not saying I'm gay, but I do partake of the gayness a little bit. Apparently.
Dang, I've made it really hard on myself. I can already tell.
Yeah.
I've made it really hard.
What's your ranking?
Because honestly, like this would have been at like 3 or 4.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, for sure.
I should have put American football at 1.
Yeah.
Dang it, dude. That's it.
You're gonna love it.
I can't put frisbee golf at 1. Dude, but if I put it at 5, there's gonna be something bad coming for me.
And that's going to be number 1.
Hey,
the bad
there's
one.
all the rest of the sports in the world are still available.
Nah.
You don't know what
you
I have
got
written
something
down.
up your sleeve. I know it.
Yeah.
All right, I'm gonna just save face.
Can you repeat the same number?
I'm gonna
No.
Nope.
No. It's
Oh,
not.
okay.
I'm gonna have to go with I'm gonna have to go with the 1 for frisbee golf because I know you're up to something.
You're putting it at the manliest.
It's not true,
He
but
is.
Okay.
that's what
He
I'm
is.
stuck with. That's what I'm stuck with.
Man,
Holy
that's
crap!
bad.
Brandon,
Man, 4.
4.
Yeah.
Dang, he's lucky he had that slot.
All right.
I should have
And-
staggered.
So for the last one,
Oh boy.
there's this sport called banana ball.
Yes.
Yeah, and
It already sounds bad
so
enough.
I'm gonna set this up real quick. Yeah, already sounds gay. They grown in popularity by a ton.
They
They're
have.
selling out massive stadiums.
I'll be honest
all
with
this
you.
stuff.
Like, I think even like my son was telling me the other day that he has like friends that have been going to these games.
Yeah,
like
it's-
they're very popular.
Banana
It's
ball.
crazy.
Banana
Yeah.
ball.
So
What
if
is
you
it?
want to pull up a clip. So what they're I'll give a little synopsis of Banana Ball is supposed to be like a more like entertaining. It's like if you mix like Broadway and baseball. Like,
It's almost like wrestling with baseball because it's like dramatic.
That's a better like
There's drama.
WWE and baseball. So it's like super
It's
fast
entertainment.
paced. It's all just about entertainment. But
no, the
our
better
modern-
one is the Globetrotters.
That's what I was gonna go
Globetrotters
with.
of baseball.
Globetrotters of baseball.
Okay.
But Globetrotters were kind of cool.
Sometimes.
Oh, for sure.
Banana Ball.
Is good.
I don't.
is-
I still don't
is
understand
kinda
it
good.
though.
Well,
Can
you're
we-
about to
You
understand
will.
it.
Okay,
So,
let's see it.
Jonathan, you wanna play? One of the
I
first-
already know about them a little bit, but
Yeah, you
okay.
wanna play a
so,
clip?
Yeah, I'll play the first clip. I don't know which one it is, but here you go.
Yeah.
Hold on, I don't have the sound.
We don't want audio
Hold on.
because they play copyrighted music. So
Oh,
we'll just.
Oh no.
oh wow.
Which one? Skip. Yeah. Okay.
It's,
Yeah. Just play this one. Play this one.
my-
This one's fun.
Okay. I.
So they do little like routines in between
This is
like
Dirty
pitches and stuff.
Dancing and
Yeah.
game dance.
It's Dirty
There's
Dancing.
no way,
No.
dude.
He
And
not
think
just-
of like
No,
Oh my
you
god.
cannot do this in baseball.
Dude.
The
Then we're
other guys are wearing pink.
yeah,
It gets
all
worse.
pink.
It gets worse.
No. no.
My
What?
son is never going to this.
No. It gets so much worse.
My son is never going to this.
Just think of this. They're selling out like 100,000 seats and stuff for this.
Dude,
What is wrong with our culture?
I hope there's no LSU players on that team.
No, Clemson joined in. And
So where's the
You
ball?
say Clemson?
where's the ball? Yeah, there's none. There's none on the field. We'll just put it like that.
Dude, that's crazy.
Hold on. Let's watch the catch. No pun intended.
Oh no.
No.
My goodness, dude.
No.
This is so bad.
Dude, our audio only people are probably like, what is going on?
You gotta watch
Why is he pointed down? Why is he's pointed down?
All right, you can end it there. So this is
Why
like
would you do this to baseball?
so they do this in between like pitches and stuff. They do like dances, like current whatever is like the most
Dude,
popular.
how could a baseball player do this?
They're not real
how
baseball.
I
could a
don't
baseball player
understand.
not-
Like, no, how? How? Like,
All right. Well, first we gotta play another one. Play the.
Hold
play
on.
the.
hold on. It
They
just
drinking that tap water.
it went crazy on me.
Yeah.
Hold
Play the short. If
on. Hold on. I gotta get back to it.
the
So yeah, that's definitely 5 for
short
me.
one. Yeah.
That's well.
We'll-
Look,
we'll
I don't
play a
think
couple
we're
more.
even done. Like,
Yeah,
can I
yeah.
just go to 10?
Play that short real quick.
Off the
I
charts.
wanna-
Which one? The 21-second one? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I love this. Can you full screen it?
Yeah.
Dude, this is so.
Oh my goodness, dude.
Dude, you had just your old grown men doing this.
Dude,
This
are
is
these
crazy?
There's no way they're straight. Like, how could you do this straight?
No, dude. Like, no. Like, I'm sorry. It's
How do you
no, it's-
find
it's-
that?
It's playing
Well,
again.
here's my
It's
question.
playing it.
How do you
All right.
find that many gay baseball players?
They're retired.
That's what's
they're out of
astounding.
money.
Oh, dude,
man.
they're out of money. All right. Yeah.
I think it's just so. It's so funny. So, anyways, what
Yeah, 5. It's a 5 for me.
you
I
put it
mean,
at 5.
you
It's
had
a no
another
for me.
Yeah, the sad thing is, I'm looking on his list that he has here, and you have another 5-minute video
Yeah,
of this.
well, that was just in case.
Okay. Yeah,
was
we
just-
needed
That
more.
was just for Matt.
I don't.
You could, if you want to play a few seconds of it, you could.
I feel like we have to at
Yeah,
this
yeah,
point.
let's
Let's see here.
Yeah.
Wow.
But look at this. It's sold out stadiums. I'm like, what? This is what happens when
Is it all women?
it's got to be women taking their kids.
Whoa. That's
Yeah.
Where are the husbands?
Yeah,
They're
dude.
dancing
And
on the
what's
field.
What's funny is I found shorts that were even
Dude.
gayer than this. Of dudes like they'll be like taking their shirts off and doing all kinds of weird stuff.
Dude, yeah, thanks for revealing this to me, Matt, because I now know to protect my son from these people.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So, I
Groomer
mean,
baseball.
do I even have to make the vote here? No. It's a 5.
Yeah,
it's a 5 for
you
sure.
all left 5 open anyway, so it's automatically a 5.
That's right.
But
And I love baseball.
Yeah.
I'm excited about this weekend. Super regional start, man. Super regional baseball, real baseball. Don't watch this crap.
I mean, if you're watching it, that's just sad.
Dude.
So let's see. I just want to. So I think the gayest list honestly goes to Sam.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think
I
so.
am.
He put frisbee golf as a manly.
Dude, but think about how great. Imagine how great my list would have been if I just put American football at 1.
It would have been.
It would have been
the
would've been
same as
perfect.
everyone else.
It would have been
Yeah.
football, frisbee golf,
So who won?
cricket.
Who got the most manly?
You. Yeah.
Let's go.
Yeah. Jonathan
What
got
was
the
his
most manly.
list?
Football. So he got
Yeah.
football, soccer, cricket, frisbee golf, and then
Oh,
the
for
gayest.
sure.
Perfect.
You,
Yeah.
I
Perfect
mean,
list.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
perfect.
Yeah, he
Perfect
got it.
list.
He got
Perfect
it.
list. Yeah.
Perfect.
We all agree with
So-
the judge.
Yeah.
Some might say I used telepathy. Anyway, let's head out. We got to close this out. We went entirely too late. So anyway, what is it?
Like, subscribe, ring the.
Ring that bell, whatever it is.
Leave a comment.
Yeah, help us out if you want.
Leave a review.
If you hate us, don't review it, but you don't have to do anything. I don't care.